from the college ranks, let's go to the high school ranks. A good friend of both of ours,
Yes.
especially you. Wherever you find Adam, you find this
That's
guy.
right. This guy's my brother.
The one and only. What's up, Griggs?
How's it going, guys?
Man, we're just living the dream.
That's right.
No joke. I mean, that's it. Talking on the radio. You're the talking heads. Both of y'all have faces for radio.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's the ultimate compliment from Griggs.
So, man, how's your summer going?
Hot.
What else is new? That's everybody else.
Yeah,
hot.
No, trying to stay cool, but other than that, I'm traveling home from work right now listening to you guys.
All right.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
we really do. Well, Cleveland last year broke some school records. You guys got to go to the third round of the state playoffs, got to call the game. Talk about the big success of last season.
It was, the undefeated season never happened in Cleveland history. No more than 9 wins ever in Cleveland history, and they got a perfect season. Ended the season 12-1, never been past the second round. Got to go to the third round and come up against a big team in Randolph County. They were, one of the bigger 2A schools. And, talking with Coach Gillan, I mean, he would tell you that team was so good and balanced. He said if we played them 10 times, we probably would have got beat 10 times. I mean, they was just that good. And, of course, you had Peyton Gillan and Brett Irwin. Set records, averaged 43 points a game, I believe, something like that. And set all kind of offensive records also on top of that.
Griggs, we've talked about this a bunch too. For the first time in 3 seasons, or this will be Coach Gillan's 4th season now, and his first without his son Peyton at the quarterback. Talk about how dynamic of an athlete Peyton Gillan has been. Probably one of the best to come through Cleveland for sure. Put him right up there with Daniel Dixon and some of the greats, I'd say.
Yeah, you have to put him right up there with Daniel Dixon. Could do it all. Played quarterback. Could run the ball. I think he's been the leading rusher probably all 3 years he was at Cleveland. And then we watched him, last year playing defensive back, intercept and seal the victory up there at number 1-5. I think against Gaston, he intercepted going on the goal line and returned it 100 yards. I mean, he was just a dynamic player on both sides of the ball, and he'll definitely be missed this year.
All right, so Peyton's gone. Where does the offense come from?
I think this year you're actually going to see Cleveland in a true spread. I kind of compared them the past 3 years to an Auburn. You had the dynamic quarterback, and you had a downhill runner at running back. And if nothing else is working, you had them 2 guys. And I think this year you're going to see the ball spread around more. You got Nick Randolph. He's moved back to running back this year. He played receiver last year and probably the fastest kid on the team. So you're going to see more of a scat back look out of him. And I think, like I said, you're just going to see a lot more spreading the ball around, because if I had to compare it, they're probably just as good skill-wise, of course, minus Pate, but all the other skill positions are probably just as good as they was last year.
On the defensive side of the ball, we talked about Peyton Gillan, such a playmaker at safety. Who are some of the guys that you'll see step up this year on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, you got a newcomer, Gage Gammon. He'll be a senior this year, and he hasn't played, but he's come in and really turned some heads in practice. And you've also got, a youngster and Andrew Green back there at safety. He's really coming there. He's battling for a starting spot, and really that's one of the deeper positions Cleveland has and can interchange, several guys back there. But right now I think he's one of the guys that says that he can just read the ball the best in the air right now. And then, of course, you got Hunter Green. I mean, all-state athlete. I think he averaged almost 11 tackles a game last year.
Wow.
So, I mean, you still got him playing that middle linebacker, and as long as you got him making the calls, I think that defense should be pretty good.
Of course, that's my next question, as you took it right out of my mouth. But Hunter Green, he was at Media Day, and Coach talked about him for a little while, and about him being there for 4 years now. But talk about the impact he's had, of course, on the field, but off the field too with Coach.
he's just a likable kid. I mean, if you talk to Coach Gillan, I listen to media days, and he just loves him. I mean, he's a good all-around kid, good all-around athlete in all three sports. And, there at times last year and some back there in the spring watching practice, Coach Gillan, he'd be trying to run the scout offense and just trying to trick Hunter out of something, but Hunter would read the offensive play.
Wow.
And, he's just a great athlete, and it was kind of funny, and it even made Coach Gillan laugh a little bit. Just, it's kind of the teacher and the student was kind of nipping at the heels and dissecting some of what the teacher's trying to do.
Good stuff there. Jason Grigsby joining us on the Main Street Family Urgent Care Hotline from the Cleveland Panther Radio Network. Looking at this season, the 2016 football year for Cleveland, we've talked about quarterback change or some personnel change. Of course, Coach Gillan's still there in his fourth season. The region changes. There's one team that stays the same in West End there, but it changes, Griggs, but it kind of almost mirrors last year's region with the exception of the names of the teams are different. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would. I think, if the two regions just played each other, it would be very competitive.
Yeah.
The one wild card I would throw in there is probably Winston County.
Yeah.
Coming down from 3A last year, they was a playoff team in 3A last year, and that would be the wild card. Because if you can make the playoffs in 3A, unless you lost a lot, you should be pretty good at 2A. Cleveland played them a few years ago, and after that I've lost touch and haven't really caught up with them. But that would be the wild card. But other than that, you're right, Adam. It's probably going to be, pretty close as the same region they had last year.
And Tanner, the team that you look at as being maybe the five of last year's region, Tanner has tremendous talent playing quarterback for them. He'll play everywhere. And the Townsend kid who's committed to Alabama. We've had to go to Tanner many times, and that's just it's a unique place to go play, and they're always loaded with talent. Oh,
yeah, it's not many places you go, and they got a tractor pull sitting out there behind the home stand. But I want, watching them play, I think Tanner is probably as good as five. But the thing about Tanner is they make you cover the whole field.
Yeah.
With five, they have that little double wing offense that they run, and you're in a box. But with Tanner, they're going to make you spread the whole field and make you cover the whole field. And, they're, like you said, they're loaded with athletes. So, I look for them to have kind of a hurry-up tempo and just try to wear people out because, they really do have athletes all over the field. And speaking of that Townsend kid, I think he went down to an Alabama football camp, and they have the same 40 system, laser system that they have at the combine, and I think he got clocked in at a true 4.4 40. So that's a lot of speed playing that quarterback position.
Lash, I know during media day, I heard a couple of coaches talk about having kickers. Cleveland's got one Castro who hit a game winner last year. Talk about the importance of him, and now he's heading into his junior year.
Yeah, if you talk to Coach Gillan, he's another player that he just raised over. He had the game winner last year against Reeltown in the playoffs, and then he's a huge weapon. And Adam can tell you about this. He's a huge weapon on kickoffs, kind of like how Alabama run that little onside kick in the championship game, how it was placed perfectly. That's the weapon he is. He can kick it in the end zone, but Coach Gillan, he'll try to dissect and see what the return team's doing, and if he sees a weakness, he gives him a signal, and, he's just great on placement. And, I think they've got him up to 40, 45 yards, even on field goal, if it ever comes to that again.
All right, do you have time to stay on for one more segment with us?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about other Cleveland sports, and maybe talk some college football with you, buddy.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Griggs, you still there, buddy?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
All right. Well, of course, football was great. Basketball made it to the Elite Eights, and Khalil and Desi coming back again for another season. Talk about basketball and the way they that season last year they had.
just like football, it was another record-breaking year in basketball, and come up just shy of making it to the Final Four. Really should have been there, in my opinion. I may be a little biased, but you got, like you said, you got Khalil coming back in Desi, and a lot like in the upcoming this year, like a lot of the sports at Cleveland is, it's going to be a youth wave. They're going to be a younger team coming in. They lost a lot of garbage men, and I like to say them down low, Peyton Gilland and Tristan Rittenhouse and all them guys that bang down low and get the garbage points. But you got to look, you got a three-headed monster with Desi Khalil. Now you got Michael Fallon on the outside who can absolutely light it up. And then you going to have some youngsters, Andrew Green and some of them kids also moving up from the B team, fixing to sit at the big boy table this year.
Greg's talking about Khalil Johnson. We got the opportunity to coach him for 1 year when he was in 6th grade, I think. Just a tall, lanky kid when we coached him. We played him down low. He really wasn't, that matured offensively. To watch him now, and over the past 2 or 3 years, to watch a guy that's 6'7" or 6'8" do what he does on the perimeter is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, and they've kind of Cleveland's had a string, starting with Adam Thomas, and then, moved on to the other kid now, to Khalil. But the other two, didn't have the outside presence as Khalil. I mean, he can dribble, and when it gets tough, he wants the ball, and it's not many times you're going to see a 6'8" point guard bringing the ball down the floor.
That's true.
And handles it, probably just as good as anybody or better on the team. And, and that's his sport. I mean, and you talk to Coach Lowry, and he's there, in the summertime when the other guys are up working out for football. He goes up working out on weights, and he's back down in the gym working on his jump shot and dribbling. So it really is amazing to see a kid that tall be able to handle the ball like a 6-foot point guard.
Girls basketball made it to the tournament as well. And I think, Adam, did we not go to cover the Cleveland girls game in it was raining. I cannot remember. I want to say me and you covered that game.
Yeah, it was in Substate at Thorsby.
Yeah, Thorsby. That's where it was.
Yeah.
Talk about the girls program and what they're expecting this year.
I think they're expecting the same thing, to get back as far as they did the past 2 years at least. Also, the boys, they're going to have a youth wave. I mean, you've got Lexi Green, Andrew's sister, moving up. And the Rogers girl, I can't remember her name.
Emily.
Emily. I mean, she's moving up, when they went to the bench last year, they had a lot of young girls, and this year, I see the same thing, but, I see them making another playoff run like they did last year.
Turn into baseball and softball. Baseball, talked to Coach Johnson, some of those guys that are on the team, didn't really have the year they thought they should have had after going to the third round the year before, but softball makes history in another sport for Cleveland and gets to the state tournament at Montgomery. So make it to the Final 8 down there. So
farther than
anybody else in the county. So talk about them, and I guess just talk about Cleveland sports as a whole too. I mean, as far as last season and the year that was had.
Hey, me and you've talked about it. Kind of last year was the year of the Panther. I mean, every sport did well or had a team do well. And going to softball, I can see them making another run this year. I think they lost maybe 3 seniors, maybe 3 or 4 seniors at all. And the JV team that's coming up behind them only lost 2 games last year. So, I mean, the talent's there for them to make another run. And especially you still got the 2 ACOT girls there, the pitcher and the catcher, which dominated. And they've got a youngster coming up. I believe she may be going into the 8th grade.
Yeah.
But they're saying they're nipping on, she's nipping on her heels of getting playing time and pitching too, to be just as dominant.
And we're going to throw one more thing in there. And Justin mentioned at the beginning of the week. I told him he didn't have to, but since you're on, we'll mention it again. That Anything Goes team won the championship too, didn't they, Griggs? I think.
Oh yeah. We dominated early. Other teams made clawed their way back into it, but we sealed it with a late field goal, just like in football.
I think it was the coaches, though. I think they had a pretty good coaching staff, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Coached them up big time. Big time.
That's right.
where it starts.
That's right, up top.
Well, do you want to talk some SEC football as well?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We had Cole Kublick on earlier. We asked him, we talked about the Javon Robinson situation. We'll get to that here in a minute. Give us what you think about Auburn's quarterback situation with Jeremy Johnson, Sean White, and with John Franklin III.
I think, and I'm not in the coach's head, but I think you're going to see Sean White or JF3 because, I think talking to Auburn friends and, listening to them, if Jeremy Johnson takes the field against Clemson for that first snap, I think you're going to hear boo birds already coming out of Jordan Hare before even the first snap of the season. I think that's what it's got to with the Auburn family.
Yeah. What about pitchforks? Would the Auburn fans bring out the pitchforks if Jeremy Johnson took the field?
Possibly. Now if he comes out and starts wowing them, of course it changes quick. But I think that initial, if you see number 6 step foot on the field, I think you're going to see boo birds. But the way I look at it, I think he'll go true Gus Malzahn, and he'll probably trot out about 2 different quarterbacks onto the field and then go out of the Wildcat just to get everybody stirred up.
Let's turn across the state, and Alabama dealing with a similar situation. They have a quarterback battle going on for the 3rd straight year. Of course, there's multiple candidates: Cooper Bateman, Blake Barnett, Jalen Hurts, David Cornwell, whoever you want to throw out there. Maybe they got a guy that walked on for fall camp that they've thrown in there too. But in your opinion, break down that quarterback battle and what you believe's got to happen for somebody to step forward, and who do you think it might be?
We heard Coach Saban talk. He's looking for a guy to win the team, and I think that's, what Jake Coker did last year during that Ole Miss game. I think that they want Blake Barnett to step up and be the guy. Hear some of the other talking heads talk about it. I think they want him to come up and be the guy. Will he do it? The ball's in his court. Of course, Cooper Bateman has the most experience. But I think with the skill set, like I said, you got Blake Barnett, who's more of a dual threat guy, and then you got Jalen Hurts looked good during the spring game, so he could be in the mix also. The safe pick is Cooper Bateman.
Yeah.
But I think if it was left up to Lane Kiffin, I think he wants Blake Barnett to be the guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've heard lots of people say that as well. Staying with Alabama, they open fall camp today. A lot of new faces down there this year, of course, like there is every year, highly recruited guys. Who's a guy that you think can contribute this year as a true freshman? As we know, Nick Saban not scared to roll out some true freshmen on special teams or defense or in the skill positions. Who's someone you think that may can contribute early?
Well, you got to look on the offensive line, Jonah Williams.
Yeah.
He showed up for the spring, went through the spring game, and actually in the spring game went with the ones on the offensive line. Granted, Cam Robinson was out with the injury, but there's good things coming out about him. And also, one guy is B.J. Emmons, a running back, 5-star running back, number 1 running back coming out of high school. And and I think that's the question mark to me is the running backs. There's a lot of talent, like you said there, but can Bo Scarborough take the pounding? He's been there 2 years now, and he's been injured both years with serious knee injuries. I think he's had 3 total in his career, counting back to high school. And B.J. Emmons, there's a lot of youth back there, and I can see him taking some reps.
Who else in the SEC, as far as team-wise, are you expecting to have a good year that maybe nobody else could see having?
Georgia. They got rid of their coach, Kirby Smart's over there. But, it's not like your typical when you fire a coach, it's talent's down, all the signs. Talent's at Georgia. I mean, he's got it there. He's a little thin at defensive line. But other than that, you've got a 5-star kid coming in at quarterback. You had a quarterback there that won 10 games last year. You're talking about a 9-10 win season every year, averaged under Mark Richt. So the talent's there. If they can get the right guy under center and get Nick Chubb back, that's a big if right now because we all know what that injury was like last year. If they can get them back, I could see them making a push and could be my SEC East winner.
Staying in the East, we're going to talk about the East a little bit later on here in the show too. Are you as high on Tennessee as everyone else is? They've been talked about since really the end of last year, especially through the spring and summer. They get one first-place vote today from someone. But What do you think about Tennessee and what they bring back, and are they ready under Butch Jones to finally make the step that they need to take to try to compete for the East?
I don't. I think they're a good team. I'm not as hyped on them as everybody else. Right now, it's time for Tennessee to put up. I mean, we've heard talk for however long he's been there. They're the youngest team in the SEC. Well, they've got to have some old kids down there, up there now. You know, some guy's got to be a senior up there as long as he's been there. I'm not as high on them, but if they start winning the big game, I mean, they was up 17-0 on Oklahoma last year on their home field and let Oklahoma come back and win. If they can start winning some of the big games early, they might prove me wrong. But right now I'm at the stage is, you know, we've talked about it. Everybody's hyped them up. Now they've got to go win the big games.
Well, Griggs, we're 2 weeks away from the start of high school football season, and just right at about a month until we start the college season. As far as we'll switch back to county before we let you go. In this county, we've seen last year 4 teams made the playoffs out of the 8 that's in this county. The level of football in this county is at a great place right now too, and we talked about this earlier in the week. The coaching as a whole in this county is as good as it's ever been.
Oh yeah, there's I guess if you could put it, there's the highest caliber coaches in the county that there's been in a while.
Yeah.
You know, at one time there in the county there was a lot of turnover down at Hayes, Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially at Bronxville. Now everybody's getting settled in established programs. Everybody's starting to build a program now. And, you know, a lot of the coaches that are coming in have backgrounds of playoffs. They've carried teams from other places of the state to playoffs, and that, you know, and they're getting there. And I think it's, the age of football it is now, just bigger, faster, stronger. Even the kids here in the county are getting bigger with the weight programs. I mean, you know, you look at Cleveland, they got beat last year. They took a couple of weeks off. They was back in the weight room working out. You know, at the end of the school year this past year, they took, I think, 2 or 3 weeks off. They was back in the weight room and training, you know, for the next year, and that's for every sport.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen up there a lot of times when the varsity football teams come out from the weight room, you got varsity girls going in behind them working out. So, I mean, every sport now, you know, like I said, that's the age of the sport. Every sport now is a year-round sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to train all year.
Well, Griggs, we appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us for a couple segments. Good stuff as always. And I'll say this real quick before Griggs gets off the air with us. Griggs is the color analyst for us on Panther Radio, and I'm biased, but I think he's one of the best. And he really he helps me out a ton. Because there's stuff that I'm not paying attention to sometimes, and Griggs will be pointing out to me, like, hey, mention this, do this. And his analysis is great when we're on the air. And he brings a lot of excitement to it, and we couldn't do it without Griggs, and we're looking forward to getting started here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited. Football is here, gentlemen.
I do have one last thing. You had a birthday yesterday, did you not?
I did.
Happy late birthday at the big age of 33. Am I right?
Yeah, that's it.
Man, I'm good. I am spot on with guessing ages. Hey, we do appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you next week.